Hey guys, Thunder E here, and yes, these are the brand new Sony XM6s. So let's find out how they compare to the XM5 and the AirPods Max from Apple. So last year we expected the XM6s. Sony said no, we're not releasing those, and finally they're here. Now the full name of course is WH-1000XM6, but we all like to just call it XM6 because nobody wants to say the whole thing. And I'm glad that Sony even kind of calls it XM6 themselves. A little better in terms of naming structure. But these are the successors to the XM5, and the XM series has been one that over the years has really just shown profound growth in terms of audio quality, active noise cancellation, and all those things together. So as I mentioned earlier, this video, we're going to see how it stacks up against the XM5 from last year, as well as also the AirPods Max. Now let's start off with the pricing for all three of them so we know what we're looking at. The AirPods Max are still priced at $549. which is up there, even though it's a much older product. Though we do have the USB Type-C variant and also have the Lightning variant. So either one is pretty much the same in terms of audio quality and specs. It's just a change between the ports right there. And then the XM5s retail for $349. Now these are last year's model and pack a lot of punch. And then finally the XM6 coming at a brand new price at $449. So that is also slightly up there as well. But we want to know what they actually bring to the table. And let's start off, of course, with the hardware. Now, the hardware is something that is interesting for all devices in terms of like the XM5 and XM6 have a very similar look, but also very different at the same time. So one thing you notice is the XM6 has a wider headband compared to the XM5s, and also the XM6 actually fold, which is a new thing, which is also an old thing with the XM4. So they're bringing it back to the XM6, which means that we have a smaller footprint and also a smaller carrying case. And we'll get to the cases in a second. The shape of the ear cups are also slightly different, with a slightly more rounded ear cup on the XM5s and a slightly elongated ear cup on the XM6. So in terms of similarities, they do have similar DNA, but also different. Now, when it comes to physical buttons, the XM6 actually has a much bigger power button and also a slightly bigger active noise cancellation button. The XM5s have two buttons as well, but also they're both just smaller buttons in general. Now, when you compare that to the AirPods Max, AirPods Max have a completely different feel. So you've got this all metal build with, of course, very nice finish all across. The headband has this soft mesh with a much wider base, and you can, of course, retract and pull, the ear cups to adjust. Now, the ear cups have some soft mesh compared to the leather on the XM5s and XM6, and also are quite easily detachable, which means you can replace them if they're torn, broken, or they just don't work well for you, whatever the case may be. When it comes to weight, we have some very interesting numbers for all of these headphones. The XM6 coming at the lightest at 254 grams, the XM5s are in the middle, and the AirPods Max coming at the highest at over 350 grams. So for me, I do like the XM6 here because they're lighter and more comfortable. And I also like the elongated ear cups. I think they fit me much better, but again, depends on your use case. So weight and design, I do like the XM6, but I have to say, though, Apple's done a really good job in the finishing of the AirPods Max. Next up, cases. The AirPods Max have a very unique design, especially with this metal housing on each ear cup, and of course the soft mesh here. We saw earlier the smart case, which, as you know what it is, it's a mini case, if you will. But the design here, you see how you've got this brush look to it. This is the blue, the midnight blue. There are 5 new colors, and the AirPods Max now come with USB Type-C. USB available in Lightning, which I still have, but Type-C available. Now, on the right ear cup, you have your digital crown. This handles all your playback controls here. Press, rotate, all that fun stuff. And of course, your noise canceling button. This does expand. It's a little bit smooth, but can be sticky. And the ear cups can easily be removed. They've got sensors in the ear cups, detection sensors, microphones, for your active noise cancellation and such. Now, in terms of weight, you're looking at 386 grams on here. Next is the XM5. We have this more traditional case, Sony logo on the case. This is a zipper case, also a much larger footprint. We open it up. First thing you notice here is a pouch for your cables with a magnetic lock, which is nice. I really like this case. I like the material of this case. Now, the XM5s themselves are super light. In comparison to the Apple AirPods Max, these weigh 250 grams, so definitely much lighter. You can see the ear cups tilt in and out, and you've got this soft padding with a bit of a narrow top band, which is quite flexible. And you've got the angular look to it. Now, they come in several colors. I do have it in black here. The one thing you notice is when you wear them and you attach to your face, you see I just put it on my face, you can see oil. It is an oil magnet, just to let you know with that. Now, with each ear cup, on the left ear cup here, you have your power button, your ANC button, your headphone jack. On the right here, you have your USB Type-C cable. And on your right, you have your controls. So basically swipe left or swipe right, skip tracks. Swipe up or down for volume, double tap for pause. Very nice, very simple. And you also have the palm touch feature that allows you to basically listen into a conversation when someone is talking to you. Now, it's super light. I do have some very nice soft ear cups as well. A little bit of a non-breathable material, but solid overall. And we have our XM6 here. The case, first of all, is quite different. You can clearly see the difference in the case. Also, like the fabric, I have the blue colored version case, of course, and the XM6s. You also will notice there is no zipper. This uses a magnetic latch, which does a really good job in locking in, especially when close. When you're shaking it, it actually stays in place. It doesn't come out. I've tried to shake it vigorously. No luck there. Now, we open up our case, soft material inside, matching case to matching color. I do have the blue XM6 here. You also will notice that there's no more magnetic latch for the cables, just more of a elastic style fabric to tuck the cables into a smaller area. And our headphones, the XM6 now actually fold in, which is pretty nice. So let's take a closer look here. The headband is much wider. That's the first thing you'll notice. It's to allow basically a more comfort fit. Also, the material is very similar, so you can see the skin oil stains on the headphones themselves because I've been wearing them, and that's something to take note, which kind of takes away from the overall look. Now, you can definitely wipe it out and clean, which brings it back to new, but that's just what you get there. Now, each ear cup has different functionalities as you expect. This is the left ear cup, which gives us our 3.5mm jack, our power button, and then our ANC button here. Those are the only two buttons. ANC is remappable. Right ear cup, this is the 3.5. Right ear cup is USB Type-C port. And of course, the touch controls, swipe right or swipe left to change track, up for volume, down for volume as well, double tap to answer phone calls, double tap, of course, to pause music. And then you have the feature where you press your palm on here to allow you to listen to conversations or talk to someone while you're using the headphones. When it comes to weight, you're looking at 254 grams, so slightly larger than the XM6s, which is quite interesting. But overall, like the look. I like the fact that this also is foldable. So for me, this wins in the case and also the headphone portability category. Now, when you look at the XM6 and XM5 side by side, they look very similar, but also very different. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, it is foldable for the XM6, but when you actually lay them out, you can see the ear cup looks smaller on the XM6s compared to the XM5s, and also the band area is wider, while this is higher on the XM5s. Then we lift them up and we look at the headbands as well. You can see the thicker headband on the XM6 compared to the XM5s. And also the cup square area looks slightly different, a little bit rounder and a little bit longer on the XM6s. So that's something to take note. Also, the hinge area here Has a little bit more of a bow to it as opposed to here, but overall similar and yet different designs. Now let's talk about the most important thing, sound. Now some people may think it's connections or connectivity, all that, it doesn't matter. Audio. How well do they actually sound? And do the XM6 stack up to the XM5 and the AirPods Max? And are they worth that price in terms of its weight in gold? There's no gold in it. So let's talk about sound here. Now, when it comes to the sound profile of the XM6, it's got a much cleaner mid-range in compared to the XM5s. The XM5s felt a little muddy for me when listening to them. I always had to go into the EQs in the app to change things to match the style that I was looking for. The XM5s feel like there's more range there, so it breathes a little bit more and much clearer for me at this point. The highs are good. The lows are still there for people who like bass. And of course, it's customizable within the software itself. Now, the XM5 have gotten some updates to clear up some of that muddy range in there in the middle. So it's a little bit better, but I do like the XM6 overall compared to that. Now, with the AirPods Max, how do the XM6 actually compare in sound? One thing with the AirPods Max I do like is the fact that it's got a really clean sound signature. All right, it's much cleaner than the XM6s, but I like the XM6 because it's a warmer signature. And I think it boils down to preference here, because the AirPods Max give you a clean signature from top to bottom, while the XM6s gives you a much warmer feel to your sound. So that's something that you can actually pick and choose. What I do like is the fact that because of the EQ settings, I can customize it a little bit more on the XM6 over the XM5. But to be fair, they all sound really good and really depends on what you're looking for in terms of audio signature. Active noise cancellation in the plane. So I recently took a trip to Detroit. I was able to use my XM6s on the plane, and judging from the active noise cancellation here with the additional microphones added to this, I think Sony has done a good job improving on what they did in the XM5s, and I think they sound really good and they are much better than the XM5s. But when it compares to the AirPods Max, I think it loses this battle simply for the fact that Apple has a beautiful seal with the AirPods Max. Once you put them on without turning active noise cancellation on, you really get into this almost vacuum environment where you just go, you're locked in. And it cuts away a lot of the noise within the area. And you turn on, of course, active noise cancellation, which Apple does really well at, then you're reaching a level just much higher. I would say in comparison, I feel like if I was just judging purely the active noise cancellation, I think they're probably similar, but the seal on the AirPods Max do such a good job that it literally transports me back into the music, which is what I want to do. So I give the win to the AirPods Max for active noise cancellation. Transparency is something that a lot of people like, especially when you're wearing your headphones like this, and you can hear your surroundings pretty well. Now, all of them have pretty good transparency, or whatever it's called, modes, in terms of just allowing your surrounding audio in. I feel like the XM6 do a really good job where you get a good grasp of your surroundings and you don't get those echoes of your own voice while you're talking or listening to just your surroundings around you. Now, comparison to the AirPods Max, who have probably one of the best active noise cancellations here, the transparency mode is good, but I do get a lot of my own echo reverbing in my head. So it kind of gives me this weird feel. Now, I think it's because of the seal, which aids quite effectively in active noise cancellation, but I would put this transparency mode above the XM5. So it's the XM6, the AirPods Max, and the XM5. Voice calls. So when it comes to talking on your phone, we do that a lot with either our AirPods, our WH-1000XM5s, because those are the buds, right? Or even, our XM6s or AirPods Max, whatever device you're using on your head. How well do they sound? Now, first of all, I'm going to put Apple in one category because they've done a good job compared to everybody else over the years with their headphones or earbuds to really give you some really good call quality. That's just something that's standard they've done. So the AirPods Max stay right there at the corner. Let's judge the XM6 and the XM5. Now, the XM5 did a much better job 2 years ago at improving the call quality when actually jumping on phone calls, but there was still some distortions and also felt a little echoey when making calls. I think the XM6s have improved in this category with the added microphones in there in terms of canceling background noise and also allowing whoever's listening to you to actually hear you properly. Now, does it beat the AirPods Max? No. I think it's very close. Dare I say almost the same, but it's something that I would, at least attesting from people having conversations with me on phone calls, they found no issues to it whatsoever. And I think that Sony has done a good job getting closer to that point, but I'll still give the slight edge to the AirPods Max. Software. When it comes to using headphones, we have the ability to, of course, use them easily on the device, or of course have added benefits with software. Now, in the past, I would have said Apple didn't have a software support for their headphones, but they've done a good job improving on that. So you have direct access and volume controls to change things like your noise cancellation, transparency, spatial audio, that kind of thing. And if you go into the settings, you can go into the AirPods Max themselves and also have a little added functionality. But I think this is where Sony actually beats that out. Now, some people may not like the software itself. I think Sony has also improved their software to make it more streamlined, but it's a much more deeply integrated piece of software, allowing you to also get into your EQs as well and just customize the sound for your experience. They also have a specialized sort of AI EQ finder that helps you listen to different sounds and create the EQ balance that you want to. Not just you playing with levels, because most people don't know how to do that either. They just kind of move things up and down, right? So that actually helps in giving you the right sound that you're looking for. The app also has good integration for adaptive noise control and also for 360 audio. So those things are great, and I think the app just gives you more things to customize to fit your sound. And I give the edge here to the XM6. It's also the XM5 because it's basically the same app. Durability. So when it comes to durability, this one is very interesting because both of them have negatives and some positives. So in the first place, the AirPods Max are quite durable. I mean, that metal construction ensures that you can toss it around and it will definitely last, but it will also scratch up quite easily and you can use it as a weapon, I think. Now, compared to the XM5s and XM6, simply just wearing them, and if you're like me who has an oily face, whew, boy, it is oil and smudge all over. Luckily, you can easily clean it off. Now, I did have a white version of the XM5s, which I gave to a friend, and I can tell you if you throw it in the bag with a bunch of keys, it will get scratched up quite easily. It won't damage, but it was definitely scratched up, so you're gonna have aesthetically not pleasing. So the best colors to probably go with is the black or maybe the navy blue, which is the new color they have here. So when it comes to durability, I think the AirPods Max have that win on durability, but they both scratch up quite easily depending on the color you're looking at. Just don't get white, black. Black is king. Battery life. So when it comes to battery life, this is an area with headphones, we want to just use it as long as possible. Nobody wants to charge it. So let's talk about quick charging first. All of them offer quick charging capabilities, with the AirPods Max doing 5 minutes of charge, giving you 1.5 hours of listening, which is good, which is fantastic. But the XM6s do 3 minutes of charge, giving you 3 hours of usage. Definitely a clear winner there. So which means in a pinch, or if you're on a long flight, you should be able to quickly charge and give yourself some juice to actually watch your shows, listen to music, and all that fun stuff. Now, battery life within the headphones themselves, the AirPods Max are coming in at 20 hours of battery life, charged via USB Type-C or Lightning cable if you have the older version, while the XM6s and also XM5s do 30 hours, so an extra 10 hours of battery life there for you, which of course gives the clear win to the XM6. Finale. Is it interesting? Do you guys like it? I don't know. Just joking. Let's start again. So let's round this up. We have 3 headphones here that are really good. They have some very interesting price points, and I think they all bring something great to the table. Now, in terms of durability, active noise cancellation, the AirPods Max really set the tone right there, while the XM6s and even the XM5 too do really well with some audio, battery life, and it really boils down honestly to your preference. And for me, this is where my preference guides my judgment. I don't like heavy headphones, and to me, I feel like the AirPods Max are just much heavier for me to use for long periods of time in comparison to something like the XM5s or the XM6. When it comes to sound quality, I think both of them do a really good job, but I also like the ability to customize my sound as well. So that plays into it. Now, in terms of voice calls and active noise cancellation, Apple has a slight edge there, but Sony does pretty well. And if I sum it all together, the price point also comes into play because the AirPods Max are pretty old in terms of timing compared to the XM6, and they're still priced higher. I think that when you look at it all together, to me, the XM6 are the better choice for me in this battle, and I think they really do a good job in setting a tone. Now, hopefully we see cheaper prices in general. I am not a fan of any of them at $300, $400, or $500. I think that's a really high price point, especially if you're not named Focal or Boored Dynamics or any of those higher brands. Just to say that those brands I really like, and I do have those headphones as well, that give me some really, oh my God, sublime sound. That being said, I think the XM6s will do a lot for a lot of people, especially because they are foldable. They've got a really cool case that is really nice and portable, and they give you some really good sound with the comfort and audio you're looking for. So if you guys disagree with me and think the XM5s are better, let me know. If you think AirPods Max won the day and I'm an idiot, leave those comments politely. And this is Thunder E saying thank you and always enjoy your entertainment. Use the link down below to buy.